Like when you post this podcast, that I'll probably go and say how many people have seen this podcast, how many people come to me and say, wow, great, yeah, we really enjoyed what you spoke, Khushi, right? From young age, I was into biology. So I was very curious. I used to, catch spiders.
Okay, so at 7th standard, you knew what a female and a male spider was.
Our vision is to become the top biotech company from India.
A biotech buzzword you wish would disappear.
Interesting. Fed batch.
We have that line in our vision and mission policies. Continual improvement is of utmost importance
Absolutely,
to us.
absolutely.
When we met in Bio Convention in Boston a few months ago, I remember Enzene was launching VR Enzene at that time. So can you tell a little more about market disruption is coming? Either you cause it or you be a victim of it.
And we cause it or be a victim of it. That's right. So having single-use bags that we collect are kind of our pre-drug substance in helps, right? Because then it is already completely a closed system.
So do you have any great recent launches or great launches come out of Idea Bubble?
So people say that papaya leaf extract is good for dengue, right?
Right.
Platelets go up. We actually were able to find the active ingredient from that leads to platelet increase.
Okay.
Like one of the unsaid values in Enzene is Raftar. Of course, that's part of our culture.
Welcome to IMATalks powered by Ami Polymer, where science meets people shaping it. I'm your host Khushi Gandhi, and today we have someone who's redefining how life-saving drugs are made. Dr. Himanshu Gadgil, CEO of Enzene. Dr. Gadgil left a thriving career in US to return to India to make and challenge the old biomanufacturing norms. From tackling what is broken into biologics to breaking cost barriers and expanding globally. This is a story about vision, innovation, and expansion. So, good morning, good afternoon, and I'm very thrilled to have you here. Thank you for agreeing to do this with us. My first question would be anything, a person in their 20s would ask that, what were you doing when you were as old as me?
Yeah, Khushi, first of all, thanks for doing this. Pleasure to be on here.
Thank you so much.
So that was a long time back also, right? When I was as old as you are. So
I don't think so.
I don't want to date myself, but so what was I doing? I think, look, when I was in 10th standard, we had this, the career counseling.
Right.
And somebody had come in there and they said, hey, there is a field called genetic engineering. This is a long time back, okay? I mean, this is now, of course, when you think about genetic engineering and molecular biology, it has completely transformed, of course, our field.
Absolutely.
But at that time, it was still very nascent. I mean, we are talking about the 90s, early 90s, right? And so that stuck in my mind because it was like some kind of a combination of engineering and genetics. And I thought, hey, that sounds cool. And that stuck somewhere.
Okay.
And then, as many of the Indian households, my mom, because she could not get into medical school, I mean, she got in, but was not in Pune. So her parents said, nothing doing, you're not going to do medicine. And she ended up doing very well. She's a professor of environmental sciences. Even still at 78, she still goes to her university sometimes, right? Although she's kind of superannuated now. So she wanted me to do medicine. And so after 12th, I did not get into the government college, but I got into private college for medicine, right?
Okay.
So we were there and she was very excited. My son is ultimately going to live my dream. But my dad asked me, hey, do you really want to do this? And that moment, I captured and said no, because I did not want to do it. And then ended up doing my bachelor's in microbiology, master's in microbiology. So really got into this field, right? So that's where the journey in the whole biotech field started.
Okay.
And then after master's, I went to do my PhD and really got deeper and deeper. And my love for the field kind of kept on growing since then, right? And so that's where the journey started. It was about that curiosity of what the field can do.
Right.
And from young age, I was into biology. So I was very curious about how biological system works. I used to catch spiders. So like 6-7 standard, and I, like suddenly, you catch a female spider and it starts.
Okay, so at 7th standard, you knew what a female and a male spider was.
I don't know, but they had babies, so it probably were female, right? And one time I used to catch them in bottles, and every time you catch them, they would like lay eggs and have babies, and it was like some kind of I thought it was parthenogenesis, but I think later on I realized that when you put them under stress, they will procreate, right? I mean, they have like fertilized eggs from which they'll have babies just because, they're under stress. And one time this whole bottle jar got left open and my home was full of spiders and my mom was not very happy about that. So, I was always curious about biology in a sense, right? Didn't know too much about where it'll end up going because I wanted to be in academics, and that's a different story. But but that's how the journey started.
So like moving on further in your life, you obviously it's a known thing that you came back from a thriving career in the US, came back to India. Now that decision wasn't probably just professional, it was also personal. Do you mind sharing something about that?
I was in the US for almost 15 years. 10 of that I was doing I was working in biotech industry, initially in Waters, and then later on in Amgen, right, which is the top biotech company probably even today. And so the whole US dream was complete. Picket fence, house, one child, didn't have to
the
one
great
child.
American dream.
Except for the dog part. And so, but that dream got shattered when my father suddenly passed away, right? And then I was working for Amgen, the biggest biotech company, and working on probably the 8th or the 9th product for psoriasis. And after my father passed away, I came back and we were settling his bills. And he was prescribed medicines which Amgen had made. He got dengue, he passed away with dengue, right? And none of these were prescribed for him. And he was given medicines manufactured by local companies. And I wondered, maybe is there a bigger calling in terms of going back to India and making sure that like influencing the entire ecosystem, right?
Right.
Including the quality of these biosimilars. They're very difficult to make.
Right.
And so professionally, that was the calling. Personally, of course, I wanted to be closer to my mom.
So when you came back and when you started with Enzene, I would just fast forward to that. There was probably a vision that was channeling from, for making healthcare more accessible or something like that. So what was that vision that you were carrying and when you joined Enzene?
Yeah, so of course, when I told you, right, the reason to come back was to make products, right? So I had a very, very deep desire to make products, affordable products, right? So the affordability portion of it, kind of, I realized more after moving back to India, right? I was looking at it from a perspective of quality. And then fortunately, I first started in a company called Intas, right? So Dr. Urmish Chudgar, who's the MD there, he was very clear about the access and affordability. And I also kind of understood that kind of at a ground level in Intas, right? I used to go for a lot of these launches. Myself, we launched almost 8 products while I was in Intas in 4 years. And I understood that piece of it quite a bit. So before Enzene, there was that piece of experience I had moving back to India and in the right setup where I myself understood the need of affordability and access. And so that desire to launch products was there, and the desire to make them affordable was there even before I joined Enzene. So after 4 years in Intas, after we launched many products, I think what the major driver for me was to build the right culture, because biotech requires the right culture. And so when Enzene happened, Enzene started as a very small molecular biology company before me. And then Alchem acquired. And then I spoke to Sandeep, who's now my boss. He's like, Himanshu, all of that is great, but desh ke liye kuch karna hai. We have to set up a company with the right culture. And so that really resonated with me. So that is why I came to Enzene, right? And so the first few years of Enzene, we really spent a lot of time. Of course, we built a lot of products. I mean, now the 8th product will get launched for Enzene shortly in India. But we spent a lot of time in building the culture. And that was the driver really to be able to build that culture in India.
Yeah. So looking back or, looking at that mission, How much of that do you feel is accomplished, and what is the way ahead for you?
So culture is an ongoing process, right? It's like gardening.
Right.
So you set it up, but you have to garden it. And I think we've kind of really have a right momentum in place in terms of building the culture, right? And I think that will move. I think and that kind of, as Peter Drucker said, culture will eat strategy for breakfast. So we really kind of have built on that, right? So that has resulted in, of course, I mean, we are sitting here in our R&D. This is our second R&D. Initially, it was in a different location.
Right.
Now we've kind of built a state-of-the-art R&D. Before that, we built 2 manufacturing plants in India. Now we are building in New Jersey. So in terms of that, with Alchem investing significantly, I think that has kind of been satisfactory. We are now building in the US. We've launched products in India. So all of that is also great.
What is something that you would think, okay, this is still left ahead of me?
See, our vision is to become the top biotech company from India and not stop trying until we reach there, right?
Right.
And so it's going to be an ongoing process, because there is, how do you measure top? I think we'll be there in the next 2-3 years in some kind of that top position, right? But there are so many ways to measure it. So how do you reach there? And for us, it's not the pinnacle of reaching there, but to continue to try to get better. So excellence is also one of our values, right? So continue to try to get better at it. I think so. It's never going to end in a sense, right? So it's always going to be an ongoing process.
We have that line in our vision and mission policies. Continual improvement is of utmost importance to us.
Absolutely.
So like you said, it's very subjective of, getting on the top of it. So you always want to set a bar for excellence at some point. So now a little more technical into what we are here for. When you talk about Enzene, we know that Enzene is leading into the continuous manufacturing process. But before we get into the solution, what helped you identify the actual problem with fed batch manufacturing?
Initially, Enzene was doing molecular biology, and then we said, okay, with Alchem coming in, biosimilars, right? So 2016, we established R&D. So it was very clear to us that following what others are doing, we are not going to add value or create value or solve a problem, right? I mean, as a company, we want to continue to solve problems.
Right.
And the problem of access and affordability could not be solved by using the same technology that 10 other companies are using in India and coming up with the 5th biosimilar, right? So we said, okay, how do you change that? So what we wanted to change was the cost of goods, of course, right? To make it lower so that we can pass on that affordability access to the patients, right? So to do that, then, we could not use what existed. And we realized that the bigger contributor to cost of goods was not the direct cost, but the indirect.
Okay.
So how do you then make your plants smaller so that your indirect costs are lower?
Okay.
Right? Because indirect cost is really, cost per square foot of running a plant, right?
Yeah.
So how do you make it smaller?
Okay.
And then we started looking at fed batch. We realized that a lot of the footprint is occupied by whole tanks, almost sometimes 60-70% in conventional plants.
Right.
So we said, instead of having whole tanks, if we run a straight through process, connect all of the unit ops, then in a much smaller manufacturing area, we can still manufacture enough. Now, what happens is when you do perfusion, which is the first step, we realize we are getting 10 times cell density than fed batch. So that added on to that multiplied the advantage that we got, right? So now in a 1,500 square foot facility or a clean room, we can manufacture 40 kilograms. And we will, we've breached the $50 per gram. So a lot of good stuff.
That is good.
So I think that was it. That is how we started. We could not solve the problem by using the same technology that 10 other people had used, because then what is your advantage?
Exactly.
Especially coming in new.
This actually reminds me of a quote by Einstein that insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that makes sense. And now more onto the idea of Enzene X. Can you tell us a little more about what that idea is?
Yeah, so the continuous manufacturing platform that we initially did, it was like a 50 liter to a 200 liter. We called it Enzene X, because the X factor was clearly there. So in 2015, 2016, the idea got conceptualized. By 2017, early 20 by 2017 we had established in R&D. By 2018 we were already manufacturing it in GMP for the clinical batches, right?
Oh, okay.
And 2019 this facility where we are right now got inaugurated, so that hosts now 5 lines of continuous manufacturing.
So does that make you the fastest innovator? I don't know about the records, but
I don't know what speed means in this case, but we clearly are the front runner in continuous manufacturing. The straight through continuous manufacturing platform,
right?
We are the top platform now in the world because it is commercial, right? In India, we have 4 products now that are manufactured on this platform. We've done around 5 to 6 kind of for novel molecules.
Right.
We've done the phase 1 supply. So I think we have a lot of experience. And in terms of experience, we are ahead of the game. As I said, there are various ways to measure top. When it comes to continuous manufacturing, we probably are there or close to the top.
No, I meant like from conceptualizing in 2015, and then by 2018 you already had a GMP certified manufacturing. So that 3 years is no joke.
It was, like one of the unsaid values in Enzene is Raftar. Of course, that's part of our culture. No, we have so many just very hungry, passionate scientists that they don't want to stop, right?
Right. So more on Enzene X 1.0 to 3.0, which is going on. What are the technical or operational leaps you had to take for this?
So first set was the scale, right? So as I said, we were doing 50 to 200 liter. Now it is operating at 1000 liters. Again, we are the only platform continuous manufacturing that connected platform that operates at that scale, right? So from Enzene 1.0 to 2.0, it was that. Now 3.0, it's about including process analytical technologies. So while the process is running continuously, analytics is still offline. So now we are, collaborating with Rutgers. There's a Nimble sponsored project that we are working on, where we want to bring in the analytics also in line. And kind of continuous in a sense, right? So that would be 3.0.
That was okay. So
we are also looking at media, how to make our own media, how to optimize the media. So there are so the way we look at it is like iPhone, right? I mean, every 2 years we want to upgrade the platform to the next level. Now that we are ahead, we want to continue to use that advantage technologically. So we are always ahead of the curve.
Okay, that's a good example, because even iPhone as a user, you cannot stay without an upgrade for more than 2 years.
There you go.
What I've learned in the time I have been in the industry is that the most important, the most critical thing is sterility. And we can go on to compromise or even compensate in terms of money, in terms of certain values to maintain the aseptic process, right? So single-use systems have been gaining a lot of noise very lately. For that, we also had to, somewhere sustainability is a pinch for everyone. That, since it's single-use, there's a lot of waste being generated. How do you look single-use system as?
I think it's definitely revolutionized the field, right? Even before continuous manufacturing, there was fed batch and people moved to fed batch. There's a little limit of the scale. I mean, right now you can go only up to 5,000 liter with the bags, right? So there is a little bit of that limit in terms of how much you can scale with single use. But yeah, I think definitely from a sterility perspective, it is definitely added value for us. We are also all single use platform. And for continuous manufacturing, there is a additional requirement for sterility because it runs for 30 days. So having single use bags that we collect are kind of our pre-drug substance in helps, right? Because then it is already completely a closed system. So from that perspective, having single use platform has helped. Now, in terms of sustainability, of course, your steam usage has also gone down, right? I mean, for us, if we were stainless steel, we would need a much bigger boiler. And to run that boiler, you're going to consume a lot of emit a lot of CO2, right? So there is an advantage of going single use in terms of sustainability. On the flip side, you're producing a lot of plastic. So what we do with that plastic is something that we are looking at also, right? I mean, how is it that we optimize the wastage of plastic and area? So I think it's a kind of a balance in terms of sustainability. There are areas where single use is beneficial, from a perspective of your CO2 emissions, from use of caustic agents for doing your CIP, not needing to do SIP, right? So that is the advantage of single use systems. But the plastic is a disadvantage. So if you figure out what to do with
the plastic,
I think we should be fine.
Yeah, because on paper it really feels that, oh my god, we are producing so much of plastic, where will this all go? And but in theory, in practicality, it so happens that we are, like you mentioned, that we are not using the steel boilers, and we are reducing the amount of CO2 emissions. So we are doing good. But so that is the bridge that we would only know from someone who has seen the system and someone who has been in the system. So there, of late, there have been new drugs being manufactured. So there are new layouts, new systems in place. So there will be requirement for custom components. So do you see these requirements going up? What are your thoughts on the demand for advanced filtration systems or new tech in single-use systems?
Yeah, so I think the medicine is moving from generalized to personalized, right? And as that happens, manufacturing is also going to shift. So the way I look at manufacturing is, we are still in that industrial age, right? Where everything gets manufactured in one location and then shipped out to the world, right?
Right.
That's going to change, right? So manufacturing also has to be now at the point of use.
Right.
And so with that happening, there is going to be a huge shift in the way you manufacture. I mean, one of the areas of biologics manufacturing is, of course, what we are doing with continuous manufacturing, right? Because you don't need to have big plants. You can have these small pods in which you can manufacture, right? And you can put them locally, right? In US, we are putting, eventually we'll put it all over the world, right? But when it comes to personalized medicine, it's even more, where you have to manufacture where the patient is. And so single-use offerings are going to play a big role. Because there you cannot have a big stainless steel plant anymore, right? You have to have these small manufacturing kind of units that are placed in hospitals or where the patients are. And that's where, filtration, small scale manufacturing, using single use is also going to be extremely important.
Yeah. And that's one thing I discovered right now is, you have medicines being manufactured right along with the patients. That customized it can get. So now, speaking of that, I also know that Enzene is working highly on precision medicine, right? So how are you planning to take that model ahead?
So we've kind of anchored ourselves in biologics manufacturing now, right? So I think now with US expansion, with India fully maturing, I think we are well set in terms of biologics recombinant protein manufacturing. So we now also have a discovery initiative, which we offer as services, right? That is where we are looking at newer technologies, whether it is AV, whether it is maybe even ADC or stem cell, right? So we are doing a lot of the stuff there. So I want to see what is the next big thing, disruption that comes from Enzene. I keep on talking to the folks and say, hey, what is the next big thing, right? Of course, the continuous manufacturing platform will evolve incrementally from Enzene X 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 5.0, wherever we take it, right? But then what is the next disruption? And we are looking at those areas. I mean, we are looking at an AAV, can you apply similar principles in AAV or in stem cells? That's where localized or at source manufacturing will become important. So let's see what comes out. I think the best thing about innovation is you don't know what's going to come out of there.
Exactly. There's this quote, I just keeping on saying the quotes, but about disruption that you mentioned, that market disruption is coming. Either you cause it or you be a victim of it.
And you cause it or be a victim of it. That's right.
I think you are on more towards, or entirely towards causing it.
I think we are trying. Yeah, we are trying it. Let's see, right? I think that's the mentality. With innovation, the chances of failures are also there, but you have to just embrace and move forward.
Absolutely. So now we've talked a lot about, vaccine, biologics, biosimilars. For someone who has not seen the, how it is manufactured, can you paint a picture of an Enzene X suite in process? How does it happen? Just the basic.
Yeah, the first thing in the picture that you will see is how small it is. So 1,500 square foot is really small.
Okay.
Right? When you look at standard manufacturing floor plans, which are at least 5,000, right? Even with single use, you will first be amazed at how small it is, right?
Yeah.
For the kind of output of 40 kgs.
Okay.
Then what you will see is a bioreactor. Now we have it to 1,000 liter, but we also run it at 50 liters. So it goes from 50 to 1,000 in the same suite.
Okay.
Right. And then bioreactor were operated in perfusion, where you are continuously giving the cells this good food, and then removing the waste product. Along with the waste product, and this we use the ATF technology to keep the cells inside, but alternate tangential flow. It is like a filtration technology where you're alternating the flow. That way, it doesn't get, the filters don't get clogged, the hollow fibers don't get clogged, and then out of that ATF, your spent media comes out. So at the same rate at which you are feeding, so essentially you keep the same volume. You put new media in, fresh, the spent media comes out. Along with the spent media, product comes out. And the product then gets captured onto protein A continuously. We run it in parallel mode. And then the pH inactivation happens continuously. And then AEX, EX happen continuously. And that all of that is operated by one downstream skid, right? So essentially what you'll see is one bioreactor, one ATF, one downstream skid, all in a 1500 square foot room. It's actually lower than 1500, it's like 1200, right? And you're getting 40 kilograms of product in 30 days. I mean, that's the beauty of this. So that's what you'll see if you walk into our suite. So that is the perfusion manufacturing, I'm understanding, would require less of human interference with it. So all of this happens in an automated manner, or all of this is an automated manner. All of this is an automated manner. Right now, as I said, sampling is offline and analytics is offline, right? But we are trying to bring that in line as well. So yes, so all of this is an automated. And then you are with 3.0, you're planning to merge the analytics with this. That sounds like a market disruptor. So now this is a very interesting question that we have gotten. When you explain Enzene X to a policymaker, an investor, or even a patient, how do you communicate its real world value, whether it's about cost, access, or sustainability? All three, right? I think with regulators, it is also quality, because generally you end up getting better quality. You don't have these whole tanks where the product is pending in complex matrices, right? And causing modifications. In fact, for one of the clients, they were doing it on fed batch. And because they were proteases, by the time they were harvesting on day 15, the product was completely chopped off. So they came to us. And because you're continuously purifying the product remains stable. So we got like some 40 times more productivity than fed batch. Wow. So quality also, especially for difficult to express proteins, and most of the customized proteins seem to be difficult to express. This works wonderfully. So quality, affordability, we are at least 50 times lower in cost of goods than fed batch, right, per gram. So lower cost of goods. Again, in a much smaller footprint, you're getting more protein out, right? So which means your carbon footprint is lower. Right? So sustainability also is a goal that gets ticked off. Right? So all of these goals get ticked off, right? And then automation too. I think because there are no whole tanks, the process is running continuously. You can also have automation interfaces on this. But perhaps the Enzene X 5.0 would have an automation interface with AI on it, which will make process decisions for you in real time, right? Yeah. Now, more towards strategy, you have two lines running in US and in India. So there is manufacturing happening on both these sides. Now, how does this dual model help you accelerate your systems? I think there's a lot of push for onshoring post-COVID, right? So I think, US being our biggest market in terms of clients whom we are servicing. Absolutely. Having a site in US allows us to service them locally. Right. So we have two lines there. Very soon we will expand it to either 4 or 6 lines in the coming 12 months or so. And then India, so US is starting up. India, we have already 5 lines running, but we also have a huge emphasis on R&D and product development. Right. So, and because that's where it starts, right? When a client comes to us, we first have to start in process development and then transfer it. But because we already have the right skill set and talent in India, we can very quickly onboard a project. So then onboard it. And based on the client requirement, either manufacturing in the US locally for the US or manufacture it in India for the rest of the world. And so it allows a complete solution and flexibility to our client in terms of how they want to approach this. Right. So you started the facility you mentioned in New Jersey. What the timing and what was the
ideology behind the timing and the location?
Yeah, so going to the US was a very conscious decision. We had a lot of clients, and there was a little bit of hesitancy to move their manufacturing outside the US, not just in India, but wherever, right?
Okay.
Because there is the cultural difference,
Right.
language difference, time zone difference, supply chain, and so we always wanted to be there in the US to service the clients. What we had also realized is that while the larger 20,000 liter capacities were readily available for the larger pharma clients, the smaller capacity, early stage clients, they were not getting serviced in India. So when we started in India, we wanted to democratize access to medicine to patients. When we started in the US, we wanted to democratize access to manufacturing for all of these. And US has so many of these early stage companies as well as new products, but they don't get serviced locally. So that was our thought process of going to the US. Now, when we did that, I actually went all over East Coast from Boston all the way down to North Carolina and West Coast from Seattle to San Diego. But New Jersey just happened to be in the right spot because there's a lot of manufacturing biotech talent available. Right. When we were doing it, there was capacity available. Plus, when you look at running India and New Jersey together, the time difference is suitable. West Coast would have been more drastic. Right. Again, traveling between India and New Jersey is a lot better than going to the West Coast or other places. So because of all of these factors, we chose New Jersey. Okay. So any considerations on the taxes or the political or taxation structure or something like that in New Jersey was an influence? Yeah, so I think we did work very closely with Choose New Jersey. They made us aware of all of the tax incentives that the state provides, etc. And so that was also a factor, definitely in choosing New Jersey. See, why I ask this, because a lot of Indian companies, there's they have this idea of manufacturing in the US because, you said it rightly, there is a demand for onshoring. So people are confused. People are still unaware of where to set up, where to have the location put on, and something like this. Watching someone do that, as an Indians, we think, okay, they've done it, so I can just do it. So that makes sense. So I also wanted to understand, how did you ensure that, or how did you make sure that tech transfer ensured integrity throughout the both geographies? People, right? So the person who's two people who've been with us for 10 years. Okay. One on the R&D side, one on the manufacturing side, who know Enzene inside out. They were part of the whole Enzene journey from the beginning. Right. Part of the 25 failures also. They've moved to the US. Oh. Right. Wow. Along with a few others. So we've kind of taken people who understand the technology and moved them there. At the same time, we've hired world-class talent in the US. Okay. Right. So it's the combination of both, right? So our, the US site and site head, as well as the people who we've hired there, they come with a lot of experience. Right. In conventional manufacturing. We've moved people who know the Enzene platform, who've built the Enzene platform there. And now we have a nice combination of both, right? Understanding how to manufacture in the US, experts in that. Right. Experts in Enzene working together in the US. Right. And in US, people usually have this thought about Indian origin companies. How did you manage to, work your way through where you are actually doing a very high stakes CDMO operation? So what did it take for you to ensure the trust that people look for? I think that's also an ongoing process, right? Trust takes such a long time to build. Absolutely. But to break it takes a second, right? So I think you have to be mindful of that. Initially, our listening was, as Indian companies or as Indian people, is that we always, follow the footsteps. I'm just putting in some beautiful words, but it's much harsher out there. Now, Indian companies are coming up with or matching the innovator standards. How is that shifting our image, and how is Enzene's story fitting into that? Look, I think the biggest satisfaction that we get in Enzene about what we've done, of course, so many products have been launched, so many facilities have been built, but we developed Enzene X, which is continuous manufacturing, and completely disrupted manufacturing platform which was prevalent for 40 years before us, right?
Right.
Completely disrupted it.
Right.
And now we are kind of exporting that platform to a different country, US, which is the heart of developing bioprocess, right?
Yes.
So that gives us much satisfaction, and without really looking at India versus US or here versus there, but looking at innovating in a region where perhaps it is not as common to innovate, and then exporting it to a region which is the kind of the mecca of innovation of bioprocess. So that gives us a lot of satisfaction, and it also provides confidence that look, innovation can happen everywhere in the world.
So when we talk about the word innovation, the following conversation always comes about protecting it, right? So you have a very strong patent and IPR in place. I want to understand how did that, or how did the conversation around intellectual property rights shape with your partners?
Yeah, so I think having IP is absolutely essential, right?
Yes.
But the other way to manage to continue to have that IP edge is to always innovate, because it's like intellectual property is like holding water in your palms, right?
Right.
It is going to eventually go away, right? So you have to continue to add more water in your palms.
Oh, okay.
So that they don't go empty.
So you've spoken about mRNAs, ADCs, gene therapies. Now, how does Enzene X come up, or I would say is able to keep up with these new modalities?
Yeah, so right now we've progressed this for recombinant protein manufacturing, mAb manufacturing, right? But we've also, like I said, in our discovery and early stage R&D, so we run something called as Idea Bubble. So where group of us come together from Enzene, discuss an idea, and then people will use whatever resources are available to progress the idea, and if it goes somewhere else forward, then we will fund it and take it through, right?
Wow. So is it like your in-house Shark Tank?
It's like an in-house Shark Tank. And we do also follow the Google 80-20 model, where 20% of the time people should do just innovation that is not bound by your projects. So things come out of that. As I said, in this space, there's a lot more failures than successes, right?
Yes.
But that is fine. I mean, that is what it's supposed to be. But we are looking at technologies. I think we are looking at cell-free expression systems to see what we can do in terms of protein expression. We are looking at using the same principles to see if we can have a continuous peptide synthesis, continuous mRNA synthesis, continuous DNA synthesis. Or it doesn't even have to be continuous. Maybe there's some new thing that comes, hopefully, out of that idea bubble. Let's see.
Yeah, but I'm more curious about the idea bubble. Is that right?
Yeah, it's called the idea bubble.
You have everyone from Enzene come in and pitch ideas? Or
so I think we run this forum called Idea Bubble, where people come with ideas, and whoever is available, we run this forum. They'll come there. The ideas will be discussed. Somebody will say, hey, I have this idea. Other people will say, I like this idea. They'll get together cross-functionally and see if they can do some early proof of concept to bring it to a stage from where it is gone from just an idea to having some kind of a preliminary proof of concept data.
So do you have any great recent launches or great launches come out of Idea Bubble?
Actually, quite a few. Some go through, some don't go through. So I think through Idea Bubble, there are two things we came up. So people say that papaya leaf extract is good for dengue, right?
Right.
Platelets go up. We actually were able to find the active ingredient from that leads to platelet increase. Right? Now, the IP of that was a little challenging. So we did not proceed to take it through the ethical development route, right? Because if you're not able to get a very good IP, then you invest millions and it doesn't go through. So that was one that came through. Now we just recently got patent almost approved in Australia for that. So maybe we'll do something in Australia with that. Then from another plant, we found a compound. So there is a plant called Sahdevi. And in Ayurveda, they use it for a lot of tumors, especially blood tumors. So again, we were able to identify the compound that actually reduces or kills tumors. We were able to identify the pathway with which it is killing the tumors. Now we filed a patent for that. Hopefully, we'll get it for the US. And if that happens, we'll take it through. So it's not just process. When we initially started, Idea Bubble was very unhinged in a way.
Right.
Where we don't only want to have ideas around process. It could be anything.
And with all the innovations coming out of Idea Bubble, like, the Saidevi plant, which kills the tumors, and the papaya leaf, I I kind of am getting an idea that the Ayurveda and the modern science is not quite different. It is working hand in hand. So
I think so. Look, I think pharmaceutical industry has gone towards using chemical and chemical libraries to screen for medicinally or for biologically active medicines, right?
Right.
But plants have the most diverse chemical library.
Available.
Number one. Number two, they're living systems. So if there's a compound in plant, most likely it is going to be tolerated at a right dose in human beings. That doesn't mean they're all going to be tolerated. So, and then there is, thousands of years of wisdom in cultures like India, China, where these plants are known to have,
exactly,
medicinal value. So why not harness that? I think why not use more modern biological principles and apply it to traditional medicine and see if there's a bridge.
Yeah, I think this is going to shun a good noise on, the Ayurvedic myths and facts, because we just, a lot of things that we were practicing in Ayurveda, we just need a logical proof of it. Otherwise, it is working fine, right?
But if there is enough proof, like turmeric works, right? If you have sour throat, take it. Haldi ka doodh, it works.
The Ramban solution. Okay. So also in one of your lectures, I came across something very interesting that you mentioned is the cost of gold per gram is $150 and the cost of biosimilar or a MAB is it was cost of gold was $80.
It's gone up now. I mean, that was an old presentation.
That was an old presentation. And in that presentation, you were also clarifying, I'm not sure if the current price is right or not, but it was $50 or $80 or something. And the price of a map was twofold. It was $150 or something. And you mentioned you have come down to $50, but the initial goal was $40, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think so. When we're looking at it, right? I mean, it goes down with scale. As you scale up, it goes down. So at a 20,000 liter bioreactor, you're probably at 100 and 120. Yeah. But that requires billions of dollars of investment, right? So if you invest $100 million within a smaller plant, you're going to be more at like $200, $300 a gram. So the question was, while limiting the investment to less than $100 million, how do you still reduce the...
Oh, okay.
So that is the whole genesis of Enzene X. And so we are closer to $50 a gram. Yeah, lower than that actually.
And what needs to happen to make this a reality?
It's happened with Enzene X.
Well,
but how do you take it further? I think we still have a reliance on, like for example, single-use systems that are quite costly. How can you, because our cost of consumables is almost 20-25%.
Okay.
When you look at the overall cost of goods. So is there a way to reduce that? The other big contributor is media, right? Okay. So we still don't have our own media, right? So we still pay significant amounts for that media, cost of media. So how do you bring that down? So those two, if they go down, then we will be less than
cost cutting.
And then if we scale this up to 2,000 liters, I think we'll be even less than $20 a gram.
In the interest of a larger audience, having a goal, like let's say when you decided on $40 goal, that was one thing, but aligning tech, regulatory, operational things at a time is another thing. How do you manage all of these things work hand in hand with that goal?
So goalposts kept changing, right? Initially, we didn't know where we were going to be.
Right.
So perhaps we were looking at being at 100, 120, right? And then when it started working, when we knew that we are already commercially manufacturing it, that's how we keep on changing the goalpost. So that's when we said, okay, let's do $50. Yeah. And now that we know that we can breach the $50, I would like us to breach $20 and then $10. Let's see where we get. So in terms of regulatory, I think having a lot of initial regulatory conversations, we did that with the Indian regulators, we did that with US FDA, with one of our molecules. I think that was important, right?
Okay.
Important to get an alignment. Okay. Now, of course, there are guidelines that US FDA has come up with for continuous manufacturing, right?
Right.
So there's going to be more and more acceptance. But 10 years back, there wasn't. So having those conversations was important, number one. In terms of operations, learning from our failures and making sure that we don't make the same mistakes again and again.
Okay.
And then the training component component of it, right? So make sure enough people are trained in how to run that. And I mentioned now that some of these have been transplanted into the US, so we kind of pass that knowledge. So creating that knowledge, learning from failures, making sure we are training, documenting, and moving forward. I think that's the way. So
that is when you have. So I'm trying to understand the leadership style over here. That you would have someone, a core team with you who works. So you direct them according to the goal and not the goal according to your current situation.
So so how does that work, right? So entrepreneurship is also one of our values.
Right.
So rather than somebody directing somebody else, if we just approach it from a team perspective. So initially when we started out, we had a teal organization, which means we used to say there's no boss in Enzene. So rather than creating these strong hierarchies, we had these spheres, which were a project sphere, there was a technical sphere, there was a continuous manufacturing sphere, there was a EHNS sphere, and then there will be one person who is kind of the CEO of that sphere, right? Who's spearheading, and other people are accountable to that person. And so that is how we created something we call SpearNet. It's also working today. Of course, we are not a teal organization anymore because the organization is a lot bigger, so we have to organize it more traditionally. And so create an environment where there's a larger pool of stakeholders who's taking this forward rather than one person directing.
That's great. So now we are moving on to a cool segment that was never introduced.
I'm scared.
No, it's not very scary, but something that we have always been seeing at so we have our own rapid fire.
Okay.
Which is,
do you have a gift hamper as well?
We do actually. As a matter of fact, we do. It's just not on camera.
And do I have to win something for that or no?
No, I think you've already won the hamper. Yes, we do have a hamper, not as fancy as Karan Joy's
No, don't
hamper.
worry. I was just joking.
But we have a rapid fire, and we have something which is more related to something you've worked in.
Sure.
And everything. So we'll start. Single use or multi use, your go-to for speed?
Single use.
Biggest myth about biosimilars?
That they are easy to make.
Most underrated innovation at Enzene?
Most underrated innovation at Enzene is the pH inactivation, actually.
Okay. India or US, the easier market to launch in?
India.
Okay. What's harder, innovation or expansion? That's one of my favorite questions.
Expansion.
A biotech buzzword you wish would disappear?
Interesting. Fed batch.
I think I have used that. I think I've overused that. Patent or partnership, which protects the innovation the best?
Patent.
Okay. A leadership mantra you swear by?
Accountability.
Can you expand a little bit on that?
That everybody takes accountability for the work that they do.
Okay.
Then you don't need to govern, right? I think then the teams are self-governed, individuals are self-governed, and everybody takes accountability for their work. So
I think what I'm understanding is your leadership style is more on less of micromanaging and more on
100%. So micromanaging. So you don't micromanage people. You micromanage the problem.
Okay. I think that would
That's
go up on
mantra.
My desk. One tech you'd invent tomorrow if you could?
Interesting. One tech I would invent tomorrow if I could. I think filtration when it comes to much higher flow rates for, since I'm still thinking Enzene, right? I think a better filtration system for continuous manufacturing. Okay.
And is that coming from a current problem that you're already...
It is. I think, the ATF is great, but it has its limitations when it comes to scale. Right. I think if you have to scale to 2KL and then to 5KL for fusion, I think you need a better filtration device that allows you to do that.
Perfect. So that ends our rapid fire. Coming back to our questions.
I hope I did well.
You did excellently well. Now coming back to some cool questions again. So you have this is more related to supply chain post COVID that we experienced. So you've built a model that combines Indian manufacturing strengths and US regulatory strengths. How does that position you in shifting the global supply chain?
I think, look, post COVID, pre-COVID, everybody thought the world is getting flat.
Yeah.
And then post-COVID, now people are looking at it as, more like a spherical world, right? So, so I think, supply chain constraints were kind of, during COVID, they just kind of came up to the surface, which for a long time people thought that, hey, we could continue with the way we're doing. And I think onshoring is real. Countries wanting to manage their own manufacturing needs locally. If there is something like COVID that happens, and I hope nothing happens in my lifetime, because COVID, we've forgotten, but it was pretty bad.
Exactly.
Right. I think that is real. And as we spoke earlier, like personalized medicine is also forcing that to happen. So I think having presence in the US, a large presence in India, allows us to really capture a lot of those geographical constraints or needs, right? And I think that's where I see the advantage of where we are right now. Eventually, I think we would like to have something in Europe, maybe have something maybe in Asia, maybe Japan, China, Russia. Why not?
Why not? Which country, according to you, is an enabler for entrepreneurs or someone to expand?
I think ultimately, more than entrepreneurs or more than expand, every country is trying to solve their own problem. And it is the emerging nations which are probably more keen to access technology that reduces their cost of goods, because either the governments are paying for these medicines, and when governments are not, patients are not able to access. And if you look at any country, they want their citizens to have access to the world-class medicine, right? Have them affordable. So I think it's the emerging countries that really are looking at technologies and how they can use them to leverage their access to patients. And so that's what we are also looking at in terms of partnering opportunities.
Interesting. And so are you advocating for a wider adoption of perfusion manufacturing, or?
Yes, we are the leaders in the, thought leaders in that space.
Exactly.
Right. And we want more people to adopt.
Exactly.
And one of the ways to do it is to give them access to Enzene. But we need to figure out how to protect our IP, right? So yeah, absolutely. And we are seeing that tipping point in the last CPHI, and when people were polled as to what is the biggest innovation that will enable reducing cost of goods, continuous manufacturing was at the top. And since we are the front runners in that space, now it's up to us to ensure that people are able to understand the benefits, are able to understand that regulatory constraints are not as what people expect them to be.
Absolutely.
And see how we can help with adoption of this technology.
So now, since we have talked a lot about the culture, right? When we met in Bio Convention in Boston a few months ago, I remember Enzene was launching VR Enzene at that time. So can you tell a little more about VR Enzene?
Yeah, so I think, we are growing. We are a growing company. We are growing in terms of number of people. We are growing in terms of people knowing us, right? And there is a story to tell. I think we have a good story, which is kind of anchored in culture, innovation, starting in India, going to the US. We live by the values that our company has. And we have some really, really fantastic people whose stories, their passion, their innovation for life needs to be told.
Right.
And so we've come up with with something called as VR Enzene. So we have Andy, Shakti, and Enzo, the three characters that we've built. And now we are using them to tell our story. Tell our story about affordability, how we make an impact, how we care about veterinary medicine, how we live, like how does every day in Enzene look like, right? So we want our clients to know who we are, what we bring to the table. We want our own people to know what that Enzene story is, and that's what VR Enzene is
So is it live? Is the platform live or?
Yes, it's we launched it in Bio.
Right.
And now we're building on it.
So I would love to listen from Shakti, Enzo, and Andy. Yeah. So you mentioned about veterinary, health and animal vaccines and everything. So how critical do you think? Because it is not at a frontier as it should be. Animal health in India is not taken for a good concern, or it's not seriously taken care of. So the process behind scaling animal biologics, how did that thought come across to you?
Yeah, actually, the same medicines that work in humans work in animals, right? The recombinant, maybe it is monoclonal antibodies, same pathways. And often a lot of these medicines, proof of concept happens in animals before they come into humans.
Exactly.
Right? So we are using animals, right, to advance the molecules and medicines. But do we really use the medicines to take care of our animals, pets, when they fall sick? Right? So that is what the problem that we are trying to solve. And even in animals, I think affordability becomes an issue. So no pet owner wants their pet to suffer. But if these medicines are extremely expensive, then they don't have many alternatives, right? Rather than to see the pet suffer, or in worst cases put them to sleep. I mean, that is very, very unfortunate, right? And my son always wanted a pet. I am a big fan of animals, but the reason why we didn't have a pet is because, look, everybody works in our house. So we want to take care of the pet if we have it, right? Similarly, pet owners, when the pets fall sick, when there is medicine available, they should be able to take care, right? So we, with Enzene, with the affordability that we've done for human medicines, we feel that can be also beneficial for animal medicine, and that's what we're doing. In fact, we've already started manufacturing in US, and some of the early work there is for veterinary medicine. We are doing that here also in India. We do it as a CDMO for other companies, but I think it still solves solves the problem.
Yeah. I just wanted to understand your perspective on these issues. Is that recently we have gotten some orders related to stray dogs in Delhi, and they are, if you have heard about it.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you think is the right approach to that?
Look, I think it's amazing, first of all, that in India, these conversations are happening.
Picking up, yeah.
Right? I mean, when you look at what you do with 1,000,000 stray dogs, right? Do you put them away or do you let them be? And that people are talking about it. Like, generally, when you look at an outside-in view of India, people think, there are stray dogs everywhere, right? But the inside-out view is that's not because people cannot take care of the stray dogs and put them somewhere or put them away. But because we care about life, that there are enough people in India where whether it is animal life, whether it is human life, that life itself is important. Right? So I think just the fact that in our nation you're having these conversations on complex subjects, because the easier thing to do is put them away. I mean, it's not like our government cannot put stray dogs away, right?
Right. They cannot.
But that's not the way to solve a problem, because these are million lives. Right? So are we willing to just eradicate million lives for human convenience? And so I am happy with the verdict of leaving them and not getting rid of them. I don't know which way. Like, I was in Vipassana 10 days and I saw that the court has lifted the order, now state order. So I don't know which way it is going to go.
No,
so I don't know what the recent one is. But then how do we address the stray dog issue? I think there are other humane ways to address it, right? Rather than just to get rid of them.
Yeah. What does the next wave of biomanufacturing look like to you? Is it?
I think localization of manufacturing is going to be the next wave, right? We are kind of looking beyond, and COVID has kind of accelerated that, right? Having like central manufacturing hubs that supply to the whole world. I think that probably is going to go away. I feel the conventional 20,000 liter stainless steel or a 40,000 liter stainless steel will be there for some time, but it is going to go away because precise medicine is coming, which does not require the crazy doses that the older medicine has required, right? So, so I think that's what's going to happen. And then eventually, just at site manufacturing, for patients, wherever the need is, like we spoke about that earlier. I think that's where manufacturing is moving. Automation, using AI, ML, very little human intervention. I mean, those are all the things that I look forward to.
But at the at site, manufacturing, is it on what scale is it happening right now? Is it on a huge scale?
No, right now it is still nascent, but a lot of these newer therapies require that it is manufactured for a personalized, for a patient, right? So it's happening. I think that supply chain is a lot more complex, and overall the field is yet to learn and adapt to that kind of supply requirement. But I think there is a need for that, and we are getting there.
Okay. And when you do get there, what will the success look like to you as a team and even personally?
I think, see, personally and as a team, I think we all are very passionate about this. No patient should get untreated.
Okay.
That's the dream, right? I mean, when anybody needs it, they should be able to get it. Now, whether it is through addressing affordability and access, whether it is through a larger ecosystem where there is a insurance safety network that allows patients who cannot afford the medicines to get it, manufacturing that allows access, and manufacturing that allows enough localization when required, customization when required, to make sure that the patient gets it when they need it.
So we spoke a lot on science, a lot on leadership. I wanted to ask something. Is there a ritual or a hobby that you do that keeps the CEO and the scientist in you a little sane?
Yeah, the hobby now, you see, a lot of those physical hobbies are more difficult now. Like trekking, etc. I mean, this area especially is beautiful for trekking. Yes. I don't do as much of that at all. So I read a lot of books. I think book reading is something that I try to do a lot of, so even when traveling, it's easy to read. Or so I have a book that I'm reading at any given point.
Really? What is the book that you're reading right now?
Right now, I'm reading a book called Behave. It is about human brain and mind and psychology and how it works.
And which is one of your most favorite books?
That's very difficult.
Is that a
That's
name of
very
the
difficult. No. I think there have been quite a few books that have influenced me. I think Malcolm Gladwell books have been great. Yeah. Tipping Point was amazing.
Have you read Never Split a Difference?
Never Split a Difference, I haven't read.
You haven't. It's wonderful. It's
Maybe
one
I
of
will
my
read
favorite
it.
books, yes.
Power of Now is a very powerful book that I read a long time back. I think one of the recent one I just finished reading a second time was Illusions by Richard Bach, which is an amazing book. So they're all good books. It's very hard to pick a favorite book.
So I'm understanding your favorite genre would be, human psychology or
I love human psychology. I love human psychology. I love book on science in general too, right? I mean, how did everything originate, right? Universe, story of the universe. Yes. I think I love those. Mostly non-fiction, like 80% is non-fiction.
Okay.
But the 20% fiction I read is magic realism. I think Murakami is probably one of my favorite authors too. So
that's great.
I love that as well.
So, and apart from you mentioned you were in Vipassana for 10 days.
That's right.
So how did you find that? How was that experience like?
I think Vipassana is amazing. I've done it, I recently did it for the second time. It's incredible. I think it's a journey inside, right? I think, so the first time, 20, 30, 40% of the time just goes to learning the technique. So that it was also good. But the second time was so intense. I think it was incredible. The way Goenkaji says is, Vipassana is to learn how to die.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
But to do that, you must first learn how to live. Right? So that's amazing, because often our mind just gets trapped into things that are not very important, right? Like how do you want to die? You want to die like loving everybody around you and in a state of mind where you're not either angry or going after things or greedy or none of that, right? I mean, you want to, but then why can't you be in that state all the time? Right? What stops you from being in that state? And that's simply, it's just that we don't understand ourselves. We don't look inside enough.
Okay.
And so when you're there 10 days without any phone, without any distraction, without talking to anybody, without reading, writing, just by yourself, you're forced to look inside. And that's very difficult.
Then you would think
it is. Yeah. But also an incredible thing to do, because how much time do we spend looking inwards? Most of the time we're on our phones. I hear there is a phone ringing somewhere. or emails or work or whatever, right? And so that those distractions are always there. So this time, I think for the first 5 days, it just took me 5 days to understand what I have become in terms of my ego. And the next 5 days, just breaking it piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. And it was incredible, actually. Very, very intense, but one of the best things I've done. So was it confrontational at Vipassana? Yeah, absolutely. I think, you look inside and then it's confrontational. It's also eye-opening in a sense in terms of who you've become. And is that the person that you want to become or not? Because see, in day-to-day life, you hardly look at yourself, right? And what you see may not be something that you like, right? and it's mostly your ego. I mean, most of the stuff is all ego driven, right? I mean, ego doesn't mean necessarily arrogance or selfishness, but anything that you desire or you want to be, your goals, your dreams, it's all something that is fueled by your ego. And then understanding what is the most important for you, I think, is extremely confrontational. It's extremely difficult and intense, right? To see yourself. Right. But that's the starting point. Because from there, you really start then trying to become the person that you want to be. What are your first signs of, okay, now I need to work on myself? I think, look, those signs may not be apparent until you take a pause and look at yourself, right? Right. Because as you said, this podcast that I'm doing itself is some fuel for my ego that, hey, I'm doing podcast, right? Yeah, that somebody wants to talk to me, so I must be important, right? Oh, no, you are, but no. Okay. So how does it matter? I think the biggest thing about Vipassana is that everything is transient. I mean, what in the larger scheme of things, who am I, right? Absolutely. And the thing that I'm trying to build, what is it that I'm trying to build? Is it really going to last time? Not. Right? I mean, the biggest of the biggest are going to be forgotten by time. Right. Biggest of the biggest, right? So what is it that I'm trying to build? If it is not something that involves my own self-improvement. Okay. Right? So does that realization happen that my ego has reached somewhere? I believe it's always there, right? When you go onto LinkedIn and say how many times your post has been liked, I mean, that is your ego. Yeah. Right? Like when you post this podcast, that I'll probably go and say how many people have seen this podcast, how many people come to me and say, wow, great, yaar, we really enjoyed what you spoke, Khushi, right? I think that itself is big. It's a big ego thing. Yeah. But is that relevant? Is that important for me? Is that really important for me to become who I am? I think those are important questions. And I think it's only through meditation or techniques that allow you to look inside. I think that's when you realize that, what you're going after and what is the meaning of that. Because looking inside is probably one of the toughest things 100%. One can do. So I'll share you a little story of how I ended up in one of these. It was a very beautiful course at Isha Yoga Foundation. Mm-hmm. And it had me give my phone for, I think, 4 days. And that was at that time, I thought this is the toughest thing I'm doing is giving away my phone. But little did I know that it was just the starting thing. And first day, first half, I was so done with, because of all the confidence, so much of talk. I thought at night, I'm just going to jump this wall. I'm going to run away. I don't care about the phone. I just want to go away from here. But then I thought to myself, okay, I will sustain this night. Next morning, if I feel, I'll run away. And that went on for next 4 days until I finished the course. And I realized it's very difficult than we think it is. And it is important because it teaches you and humbles you in a lot of ways. Absolutely. A lot of young people, it's not just second generation entrepreneurs. I would feel that a lot of young students going to college or even pursuing higher studies, they have been, in that mindset that, okay, I have a different professional life and I have a different personal life. How do you address that young mindset right now? Because I'm assuming you work with a lot of young people, maybe Gen Zs as well. So professional life and personal life, I mean, to me, I just don't know. And, maybe this can be a controversial. That's why I'm not going to get into this work-life balance conversation, right? But I mean, what it means is being able to choose. Okay. You have to always get in your position to choose at that given point what you should focus on. Okay. right? So professionally choosing that this is what I want to do, and I want to really put in efforts to professionally go somewhere. At the same time, making sure that you're in a position to choose your personal commitments, goals, whenever you have to do that. So I think just putting yourself in a position where you're always choosing and you have the ability and the freedom to choose is very important. But it is never personal versus professional. They cannot be two different things. Right? Your personal life cannot be different than your professional life. Your professional life is your personal life, and your personal life is also related to your professional life. So those are not two different things.
Right.
But being able to prioritize what your commitments are for time, right? And making sure that you're able to choose those is important.
Okay. So I think that sums up our questions and the lot of questions that I asked you today. So I'm going to give that a rest. And if there's anything that you would like to communicate through this platform to young people, to CEOs, to CXOs, right now is your time to do so.
No, I think a lot of things have been covered, right? I think just be true to yourself and see where that takes you. I think probably that's the key to being happy.
So thank you so much for your time, for the transparency with which you answered all the questions, and we look forward to more collaborations with you. So
thank you for this opportunity. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.